back in front of my bookshelves once again. In the hubbub and busyness of trying to get videos uploaded to YouTube and figuring all this out, I realized I may have forgotten to introduce myself. So, hello, nice to see you. My name is Levi Powell. I am currently 28 years old as of recording this in August 2022, and I currently live in the state of Illinois in the United States of America. If you haven't been to Illinois, you're not missing much. It's a very flat place, a lot of cornfields, nothing else really. I have gotten some feedback from people saying that they kind of enjoy some of the narration over the shall we say, the shield destruction test video, and taking that into consideration, I thought this would be a different way of incorporating certain things, where I kind of have like a sit down and chat with you over having the footage but with no audio, so I have just one thing of narration over it. However, pros and cons to each type of video, whereas in that type of video, it's more kind of dynamic because you have all the footage edited in a sort of way where there's close-ups and there's wide shots and like zooms and whatnot all incorporated together, giving a kind of more dynamic feel, but having the only audio being just a single narration. Whereas in this type of video, it's you have the visual and audio together, incorporating the visual elements and some storytelling, but the camera is on a tripod right now. It's just sort of like a lockdown shot. There's not a whole lot of movement going on. I can incorporate images and footage spliced into here, but it seems like the predominantly going to be one shot. So bear with me as we try to figure out what's going on and how I'll figure this stuff out here. I believe I have mentioned in previous videos that ever since I was a wee little lad, the medieval aesthetic, shall we say, has always appealed to me. And one of the major influences of that time was when I first saw the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies. One being that it's a medieval film incorporating some small elements of the fantasy, so that was a added bonus there. Also the thought and care that went into that to bring such a quality product, and me being a very visually oriented person was a big culminating moment when I first saw that. I think I was like 13 at the time when I first saw it. That when I witnessed that event, I was like, wow, this is really good. I like this. I want to know more. I want to get into this. This is what I love. This is what I'm getting into. And just to show my deep interest in this sort of thing was, sometimes friends or family would mention that, like, hey, like so and so is in concert, like want to maybe go get tickets, we'll go see them, or like, hey, well, we're going off to the stadium to watch the game or whatever. And I would be thinking to myself like, okay, maybe I could go and see that, because if friends are there, it might be a fun experience. But whenever I heard of there was like a specific medieval event being held like 3 hours away, or if like, oh hey, there's like quite a big Renaissance fair occurring, like not even in Illinois, like in another state or whatever, like that would be like, ooh, can I get some time off so I can eventually squeeze in so that I can go to whatever event that is, to see if I can make it, because I want to do that. Like that was me. Like that was what I was invested in and what I wanted to do. And sometimes the characters that I would want to be portraying, I would make costumes or have like physical props, because I would been doing woodworking. So I would make like wizard staves or like wooden swords that I would be making to help upgrade the value of these things, and I would want to go, show off the love that I have for this thing. So like that was me growing up. I also have the belief that everything is a chance to learn and that you can grow and improve yourself in kind of all situations. And growing up, I was really dived into sort of like the medieval culture and what certain practices and what people did in free time and the whole aesthetic. And I will say I have a fairly good baseline of what we say of the medieval period, but there's always a chance to improve and to learn more, and I kind of want to know more. I wanted to learn more about central medieval Europe, because when people talk about medieval Europe, I know that for myself and for many others that for some reason medieval England can be one of the first things that pops into mind, which for good reason. They have a rich history going into that period, and France included, but then France and England were not necessarily on good speaking terms at certain points in history. But there's that portion of medieval time period, but then we have this whole continent here that is rich with history, what's happening in other places around the world. So I thought about, well, I'm going to go learn about the Holy Roman Empire. That seems like a good time frame, a good place to learn what was happening there. So that was the first thing. The second thing is that I should mention that I come from a very Dutch heritage. The Logterman family, my mother's side of the family, we trace back all the way to the Netherlands, where they set sail to come to America. I don't know the family tree or lineage that goes back to. I know it exists. That would be fun to figure out then and show people, but I don't have time to learn that right now because I'm kind of busy on other things. If somebody else wants to do that, that would be great. I don't know, because I think that would be really cool to see, a family tree of like persons and places and events and what was happening. So maybe I'll get to that, or we'll see something, maybe like a Christmas video or New Year's, we'll see something, I don't know. The third thing that happened to finally tip me into this decision was brought upon when my sister went and had her sort of journey of self-discovery and figuring out what she wanted to do in life. And when she was in school and college in Vancouver, Canada, she happened to meet someone. And he was from the home country of the Netherlands. And when they met, there was a certain chemistry between the two, and he liked her, she liked him, and the two want to be together. And as far as I know, this is how the story goes. As the school was coming to a close and things were wrapping up, and certain visas were expiring because he was coming to America, or Canada to be a student, then for them wanting to stay together, how are they going to manage this with the whole idea of visas in different countries? So they were left with a dilemma of Robin coming to America and getting a visa to move here, or my sister to move to the Netherlands and get a visa over there. And the legal fine print and loopholes, as I understand, was much easier for my sister to go to the Netherlands than for Robin to come here to America. So that is what they went with. My sister took the plunge and decided to leave America and go move to the Netherlands. So that was like the final tipping point. So okay, so I have this interest of medieval history in the sort of Germanic region, of which the Netherlands was kind of a part of the Holy Roman Empire. I come from a Dutch heritage, and now my sister has moved to the Netherlands, where I would love to have vacation and visit and spend holiday time with her, and I could go visit certain castles and witness events and talk to people and see what it was like. So all these things coming together has become the point where it's like, all right, so this is gonna be what I'm studying then. And I will be researching what I can about the Holy Roman Empire, specifically in the years, rough ballpark, 1100 to 1400. That's kind of the time frame that I am interested in. So the central region of central medieval Europe, Germanic region, and Netherlands specifically, in 1100 to 1400. Another thing that I should mention is that the skills that I have developed and acquired over the years growing up, and that ever since my dad had a small little wood shop in the garage when that I was growing up, that he was doing like certain repairs or certain projects that he would need to get completed done. He had all these extra wood and these tools that were available, and growing up and having some free time, like, weirdly, oddly enough, that was the stuff that I would find myself in. I would find myself in the garage and wanting to utilize these skills of carpentry that I found fascinating, and to actually make something that people find beautiful and intriguing. And so I have been doing now carpentry for over a decade now. So that kind of ties in with the shield destruction test video, where it's like, okay, it's a medieval themed, that, check one for the box, because that's something that I enjoy. 1, 2, I love making things with my hands, and 3, it happens to be in the realm of carpentry and woodworking, which I have had much experience in going into ever since I was, again, around like 13 years old. So it's relatively easy for me to go ahead and like make a whole bunch of shields, because I've done this before. Really, this is not my first rodeo, really. And as I was explaining the certain things to my family about like how I would make certain things, and maybe make a video at some point explaining to you guys how these things came about, my dad happened to make the comment that hey Levi, you say it's easy for you, but as you're describing these things, like I'm following along with you, but for me, like it seems like a bit complicated. Like I don't know if I could do that, and it led me to ask the question, and the question is this: I would love to make sort of how-to videos along with this, so that I can show you like how I make certain things like the shields and other projects, if you have ideas of what you would like to see made, so that in the future, if you guys would like to make it, I would definitely go for it. I believe anyone can, but the thing is that given that I have the skills acquired over many years and the tools as well to make them, I wonder if there is a portion of community that are like, you know what, hey, I respect your skills and I admire it, but I'm more of the person for let someone make it for me, rather than to have a how-to video so that I can make it myself. So I would like to propose a kind of a little feedback from you, whether you are like, what's going on, like, are you more of the how-to group, or are you more of like make it group? I love woodworking, and they say if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and I really love being in the wood shop. And if I would love to, if somebody wanted to get in contact and say like, hey Levi, like, have you ever thought about making like this sort of thing? I'm like, I would love to apply my efforts to that. So I would like to know, like, are you more the type of people who would want to see how-to videos so that you could learn and eventually make it yourself? Or are you more the type of people like, hey, you know what, I respect your knowledge and your skills that really I could never really do, but if you could just make it for me, that would be great. So if I could get a little feedback, are you more like how-to, or make it in some shape or form, like in a word or a phrase. If I can get some feedback for you, I'll probably still make how-to videos anyway, just because I find it fascinating and I think you'll find it interesting, but I just kind of want a little feedback from you to see like what you're kind of interested in and how this would eventually work out. Also, if you have any ideas or things that you want to pass my way to say like, hey, have you thought about this in the medieval period? Or hey, could you possibly make something like this? This is an idea where I could be like, oh, that looks interesting. Yeah, I think I might want to try and make that. I'm definitely up for suggestions here. Alright, I think that's enough rambling for now. I will see what I can do in the editing process here, what I've got. Levi in the editing room here, wanting to thank you once again for joining me and watching the video. I know that I'm asking for quite a bit of feedback from you, but if you could indulge me and help me out by giving some feedback, I would greatly appreciate it. Still trying to work on a slogan or catchphrase to end these type of videos, so until next time, I guess I'll see you in the next one.